Hello, and we're looking at an update of the YouTube memberships. We've waited a while for this, so thank you for your help along the way of tweaking, adjusting, and updating the reports that we share with you. We hope they're the ones that really help you the most. Obviously, it's not personal advice, so read the disclaimers, pause on the screen, do what you need. This is not advice. What we're going to cover today, how we use the momentum profile and all the data that comes with it, how we best use it to identify the next market leaders, and what we like to do, and most of you sounds like you like to do too, identify or look at the current leaders and see whether these metrics or indicators would have identified them. For me personally, whether I let myself off the hook or whether I know whether it's pointing that I need to put more work in to identify the opportunities before they break out, because they are my setups. So that's what we're going to cover today. Looking on the screen here, this is the momentum profile that you're happy with and you're becoming familiar with. On the left-hand side, this is kind of the first thing that we look at. In the market afternoon, when I'm reviewing the data, particularly in the morning before the open, I want to know, is this a market environment where I'm likely to find a winning trade? What are the chances of me actually doing well in this market, or is it a better time where I should wind back and be more defensive? That's what this page tells us. How does it tell us? In an instant, I can see these two lines in the top left. When they're up in the high levels, this is very positive. The light blue bar lines, they're the momentum profile, and you can see the most recent reading on the left-hand side is relatively high. So that tells me that the top 30 momentum companies on the ASX today are relatively high compared to the last year. That's good, right? The dark blue line, that takes momentum profile into account as well as market breadth. What we look at is the number of tradable companies on the ASX. Are they above or below their 50-day moving average? The more, the better. Put those together with the momentum profile and we end up with this blue line, which is a regime. Is it a solid momentum regime or is it a bad regime? Down here, when we had the market at the lows, it's a bad regime. Not good for momentum trading on the bull side. But at the moment, we've been doing really well. Momentum trading's been relatively easy, hitting profit targets early. A lot of the trades I enter have hit within 3, 4, 5, 6 trading days. Happy days. I'm taking profit, I'm adjusting stops. Very good time for momentum trading. That's what these high levels up here are telling us. So in an instant, looking at this page, I log in and see, great, okay, this is very solid. I'll make this full screen actually. That's probably going to make it easier for everyone to see. And need to remember to move my camera on the right. So what percentage of those tradable companies are above the 50-day moving average? That's his first purple number. Sorry, that's momentum profile is these bars here. It's better than 88% of the days that we've seen. What percentage of companies are over the 50-day moving average? 73%. That is super, super high for when we look back in the last 12 months. So put these together, momentum profile, how many companies are over the 50-day moving average, which is a strong momentum indicator. That means that I'm 29% more likely than normal, if we can, the average, to find a company that's going to go up more than 10% in the next month. That's just a quick gauge of, is momentum trading easy or hard? And how much easier is it? Well, it's 29% easier than normal. I'll take that tailwind effect. That'll be solid. That'll be really helpful for my performance. If it's a negative, that's pretty self-explanatory. I'm going to ease back. Gary will reduce his exposure, be less invested, hedge portfolios, lower his profit targets, tighten his stops, bring his trading in a little bit tighter, be more defensive with the capital. That's what the negative numbers tell us. We can get positive numbers north of 70%. That's when I'm just going out there and trading into the opportunities. That's when we're in this market regime is pointing up and going up very quickly, the trend of it. That is important. So this page tells me how likely am I to find a good trade. Dart at a dartboard, is it going to do well? Hopefully we can do better than a dart on the dartboard because of the other screens that we're going to look at. But together, that's momentum profile and market regime. In an instant, I know whether it's good or whether I go surfing or cycling. That's a regime change, and the trend is obviously, as momentum traders, you're all familiar with trends, and pointing up is good, pointing down is bad. So that hopefully helps. We have a look at the signal strength, and that's just the trend side of things. If we're really leaning and everything's going up, we're going to lean more into the left-hand side of the 30-30 list. I'll put this on screen, make my head a little bit smaller. The 30-30 list that members are familiar with, we toggle to the most recent report. On the left-hand side, the top 30 momentum companies, the strongest performance in the last quarter. And then these ones on the right, the Launchpad codes and company names, they're the Launchpad. So when momentum is strong and those trends are high that we just saw on the momentum profile, we're going to really focus in here because the odds tell us this is where the best trades are coming from. Let's sort this rank out so the highest are at the top. There we go. So we're going to lean into these market leaders, look for a coil, look for a compression, and then trade into it because that's where the best trades come from when the momentum market is strong. Now, when that momentum profile is pointing downwards, we're going to lean into the Launchpad and try find clusters, the new market leaders. Gary and I talk about that all the time in the Friday videos. Members get them on Fridays early in the morning. Everyone else gets them in the afternoon, but members get this list on a Thursday. So that's how we use the list and then the signal strength. Are we leaning into the left-hand side, momentum leaders? Are we looking for better opportunities or are we looking at Launchpads? And this is where the next table comes in because we want to filter them. And that's for level 2 members. And these little buttons here. This one helps us at a very high level, just tell us how the current sectors are rotating. We know there's rotation going on at the moment. Financials like Commonwealth Bank have not been near the highs, so they've been coming down for quite some time. But who's been taking their position? Well, we can see that the rank's been coming up for the lighter blue, so energy has been performing better. Healthcare has really helped take that lead. They took a hit with CSL. We're getting an idea at a very high level of ASX 300, but that's just really what most people talk about on the news. That is not where momentum trading comes from. This table here is where momentum trading is identified. So we are looking to try and find the best leaders. Move my picture out of the way. Let's look at the dates. Let's go for the most recent data. Let's toggle through to September. Great. After close on the 1st, I want to narrow the date ranges so I have a shorter list. I don't want to be looking at 400 companies. I just want a few companies. I want something that's trading with the close price, share price over 50 cents. Personally, that's how I trade. Momentum score, the odds tell us that over 6 or 7 is a much higher probability of hitting a 10% gain within the next month. That's across all markets, so I just have a filter of 5. You can lower it if you want. That's entirely up to you, and it probably will need to be filtered if we're looking for the Launchpad leaders. But assume we're looking for momentum leaders because the market regime is telling us that this is a good time to be a momentum trader. I want to find the coils, the companies that have already run hard, but are having the pause and the breather like a Kalamagi kind of thing. Kalamagi, well, a lot of you say, I want to trade in the top percentiles. So let's just say the momentum score needs to be greater than 85. So we're going to filter our list down a little bit. This will take a little time to load on the left. You normally see a spinning wheel. So we want the top momentum companies, but I want to see whether we're not going to see many moving average compression, so we're not going to put that filter on. This is something we use for the Launchpad. We want to focus on the top quarterly momentum, and we want to see if they're above the 50-day moving average. Well, that's probably already self-selected. Yes, all those companies with a strong quarterly RSI are already there. And we want to see a coil rank. So now we're going to rank them and sort them by that. Here's the tip. Statistics tell us that a higher rank, highest rank is 75, is actually better. So Gary's also backed that up with years of looking through the list. We're going to run through and look at these, and we're going to try and identify a company that is going to give us the massive breakout rally, and then it's going to pause and have that little flag, the sideways congestion, the sideways shimmy, that little pause, that breather, and we're going to identify the opportunity in that and then trade again. That's how we train and lead and use this filter into high momentum markets to find the best opportunities. You're going to see the code in there, the same code in there a couple of times because we have 2 dates. If you want just one date, put one in there. Narrows your universe, so be it. When the market regime is lower, we need to lean into the Launchpad for the opportunities. So how do we adjust that? How do we adjust for it? Well, we need to be more relaxed with the quarterly RSI because if you've had a bottom dweller for some time, say 6 or 9 months, they're not going to have a strong quarterly RSI. So we're going to open that up massively so that we can get something that's possibly not at the super negative side of things. Momentum score, let's open that up to -5 over the quarter because it could be an improving base. And then we want to be looking for something that's got a 3-day moving average compression. That tells us possibly a volatility contraction pattern. We're getting tighter and tighter and tighter. So we want that on. Turn that on, not off. It'll take a little while to load and update. It's got to go locally to find that. But shortly after the low, where Gary and I identify 2, 3, 4 weeks after the low, where you've had the follow through day, you've had some leaders surge, but we want to follow the momentum leaders that are on much higher highs. that's where this filter comes in really useful, and you turn that filter on. So we start off in the lows, this kind of area, with these filters, and then 2 or 3 weeks after the low, we turn that filter on to then identify the next stage, those that are actually up near their highs, not those that just had a V-shaped bottom and are still low in the momentum. All these nuances we work through, we discuss them on the Friday videos, so members who have access to this can plug and play and push all the levers to surface the best companies. And then keep watching those Friday videos where we're talking about exactly what's happening, and we can talk about how we use these lists to surface the companies, and also the 30-30 lists that you're all very familiar with. The final one is optimal. So we've just looked at and seen on the momentum profile that we have a very solid market, very high, and this looks really, really good. And it's better than 88% of the times that we've seen in the last 12, 13 months. The number of companies over the 50-day moving average, super high, 73%. So we're about 1/3 chance better of finding any random company go up 10% the next month. That sounds pretty good. But if we look in the context of markets and say, well, was it better 5 years ago? Was it better 7 years ago? Yes, it was better 3 years ago. Here's the green line today. And this is the absolute optimal time that we had momentum trading on the 14th of March, 2022. It doesn't coincide with the market high. It actually coincides with a relatively low level in the market for about 6 months. So this is how we use momentum profile. We can't look at the indices. We can't necessarily look at the sectors, but we need to understand the momentum profile in the context of the last couple of years. Am I going to use gearing? I'm not going to use gearing in this market. Up here I will, definitely. But is it relatively good for the year? Is this going to be my 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks where I'm going to get my 100, 140, 150% of my performance for the year, and the rest of it I'm just going to have some paper cuts? That's what most momentum traders get. SMB Capital, Lance Brightstein, they kind of talk about these sort of data. Dr. Steenberg. So we're identifying this is a time to make hay while the sun shines, and this is how we identify it, and that's how we filter through the list to check. The final thing to check is, well, if it's a momentum leader, would it have shown up? So you can look at any chart, find a breakout date, and then run through this full list. Okay, I saw that the company broke out, it was up 15% today, it didn't gap up, so I could have traded it. If I applied my rules and was diligent to my research, would it have come up in my list? And that's where we can push and pull these and adjust the dates and go, okay, well, it was on this date, and was it feasible? Was it viable? Were my rules wide enough, tight enough, inclusive enough for me to identify the opportunity? And then you run through the list and can help check, and that can help us sort of filter our approaches to the market. So there are the updates on level 2. Thank you very much for your help changing them. If you want to join, click down the bottom, click join. Momentum profile is the one that you're after, and that'll get you into this list. Again, not advice, so do your own research, do your own advice, and thank you again for your support and helping shape this to be what you want it to be.